Okay, everybody, my name is Lowell, and welcome to the channel. So we've got a reaction video. I thought this one would be interesting. This is from Lost in the Pond. This is, let's talk about American doors. Okay, I didn't know American doors were different than everybody else's doors. Maybe? I don't know, but let's have a look.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Foyer. Foyer who? For your information, that's how Americans sometimes pronounce the word foyer. Anyway, come on inside.
Foyer? It's foyer. Isn't that how we say it in Australia? Foyer? Yeah, in the foyer. Foyer? Okay. Must be a British thing. We don't pronounce it that way either.
What the hell are you? Congratulations. Okay. Thanks either to my immense powers of persuasion or clever editing, you've just entered my house. And one person's experience of entering a door may differ from another's depending on whether they're from Britain, America, or the planet Kepler 452b. For now, I'm going to focus on the first two, but don't think that I've forgotten about you, my subscribers in the Cygnus constellation. And if you're not yet a subscriber, do that now. In the meantime, as somebody who grew up in Britain but now lives in America, I've seen firsthand how these differences often extend to doors. Believe it or not, American mailboxes have a profound effect on how front doors are designed over here. You see, when I first moved to the United States, it took me a while to accept that envelopes don't just fall through a hole in the door.
Obviously, in Britain, they do have the mailboxes. A lot of tenement homes have the mailboxes in the front door, for sure. We don't have that here. We have our mailbox in the edge of your road. I guess if you lived in townhouses, no, because they're at the front of the property too.
This is because American doors don't usually contain letterboxes, much to the happiness of dog owners everywhere. That last quip was a reference to Benji, my childhood dog, whose favourite toys included stuffed animals, tennis balls, and bank statements. This is not a phenomenon that most Americans will ever know. But your American front door will look different from your bog-standard British door the further up you go. First of all, the locking system itself. American doors mostly rely on single-point deadbolts, whereas British doors often use multi-point Euro cylinders, and yes, I did read that on Wikipedia, and no, I don't fully understand what it means. But apparently this mechanical difference explains why Brits often need a key to lock and unlock their front door, not just from the outside, but the inside as well. Here in the US, a key is often needed for the outside, prompting my British viewers to ask, well, how do Americans lock and unlock the door from the inside then? Easy. American front doors usually have something like this, which is a sort of rotary lever that locks.
That's what we've got. I'm just trying to remember our front door. It's got a lock on the actual handle. See where his hand is there? It's actually got a little lock on that one. And then I've got a deadbolt on it, which is the same as the one on the top. Okay.
In a quarter turn. And because a lot of UK locks require 2 full turns, I don't imagine that these would be much use. That said, in either country, we might unlock the door when receiving a visitor, but what can differ is how that visitor announces their arrival. When I lived in Britain, it was not unusual for doors to have huge knockers, as in the big metal things that people use if they want their knock to be taken seriously, you filthy little... Americans don't tend to go in for knockers, instead preferring doorbells, buzzers, or SWAT teams. Not that American front doors are especially heavy, in fact, they tend to be quite a lot lighter than the ones that I grew up with back home. This is because Britain uses solid, durable materials like hardwood, composite, or reinforced steel instead of the hollow core construction favoured in America. But
I don't think your front door would be hollow. I have a solid wood door in my front door. Why would you have a hollow? Isn't that just for interiors? Like the honeycomb? If you've ever broken a door open, you'll know that there's nothing in it. For interior doors, you wouldn't have that as an outdoor. No, that would just be crazy.
Because America doesn't prioritise durability, it sometimes has to make up for it by adding on a second door. Here in the Midwest, the weather is so all over the place that the makers of the film The Day After Tomorrow dismissed it as being too unrealistic. And so Middle America had to find other ways of protecting exterior doors without relying on Jake Gyllenhaal. Enter the storm door, a popular feature in this part of the world. Storm doors not only protect American homes from storm damage, but having one has been statistically proven to make your house more ugly. Not that that stopped us from having
a storm door. Okay, I've never seen that before. We have we have a fly screen door, but that's because it's bloody hot here. And if you have you leave your door open to get air, you'll have bugs in your house. Have you seen bugs in Australia? You don't want them in your house. A storm door? I've never heard of that before.
3 of them. Storm doors, not houses. We have one at the front, one on the side, and one in the mudroom. Let me show you that one. Yeah, it fell off during last night's storm. I must have forgotten to close it last night after letting the dogs out and dealing with that other thing. And on the one hand, I was like, oh gosh, we've lost our storm door. But on the other, I was like, oh, this is perfect timing because I'm doing a video about doors.
If it's a storm door, why has it got glass in it? Do you use that as like an extra door and you just have your front door open sometimes and you get a little bit of sunshine? I don't know. Why has it got glass in it if it's meant to be a storm door? Is it tempered glass? I don't know. If you have a storm door, let me know down below. I have questions.
But I still haven't told my wife. Hello?
Please leave your message.
Hey, this might be the worst time to tell you this since you're driving. Storm door fell off last night. Suppose I'm going to have to put it back on, especially given the other thing that happened last night. This is no word of a lie. I've lived in the United States now for about 18 years, and tonight I saw my first ever possum. Why have I not seen one before? I mean, I suppose that they're quite nocturnal. I'm not out at night usually, but my dogs nearly got to it. Took them back inside. Now I can't find the bugger. I was standing in my yard alone looking for this little possum with red eyes. Don't know where he is. Jesus! Oh, it's a dog toy. It's okay. I think for tonight, I'm going back inside. But if you ask me, I don't think that this possum, is long for this world. And you might be wondering, Lawrence, why are you including this earth-shattering but seemingly unrelated anecdote in a video about doors? Well, because in America, the absence of a mudroom door could invite all sorts of animals, from possums to raccoons to chain...
We have possums here, but they look completely different to your possums. Completely different.
The absence of a mudroom door could invite all sorts of animals, from possums to raccoons to Chainsaw Jim. I have never realised how heavy storm doors are. They're heavier than actual front doors. It could be filled with rainwater, because I noticed that there was a lot of stuff leaking out of it. The irony that a storm door is filled with a storm is unbelievable. Anyway, that is the long-winded way of saying that in Britain, storm doors feature very little and possums not at all. Sometimes the world doesn't make any sense. Americans love to get a handle on things, but all of their doors have knobs. And British people use the word knob 74 times a day, and their doors have handles. Well, a while ago, I discovered 3 monumental facts about doorknobs that surprised me in half. Firstly, while doorknobs have existed for millennia, the mechanism required for modern doorknobs didn't exist until 1878. That's the year a patent or patent for them was issued right here in the United States, which is the second fun fact. I forgot to preface that, sorry. The third fun fact is less of a surprise and more of a piece of trivia that few people seem to know about, including me until recently. You see, it all has to do with the name of the person on the patent, Osborne Dorsey. Census records show that he was a 16-year-old African-American child from Washington, D.C. And I was fascinated to know more. I mean, here we have a black teenager just a generation after the Civil War inventing something that we all use every single day. What's his story? Well, outside of this patent, little is known about Dorsey, even down to what he looked like. At some point, the internet decided he looked like this, even though this is a photograph of James Howard Meredith, a key civil rights figure who, as of this edit, is still alive and is decidedly not Osborne Dorsey. Or like this, even though that's 20th century pro football player Fritz Pollard. What is known is that Dorsey was born in 1862 during the first half of the Civil War. In fact, emancipation records showed that he was born into slavery, and yet here he was showing us a new way to open doors. And in America, that often looks like this. Ignore the laundry. Of course, I was able to freely open this door, but that's not always a guarantee in American homes. And that's because American interior doors often feature a lock button. So if you're in your bedroom and you don't want anybody else to enter because you're, changing your socks, you can simply do this. In the UK, locks on the doors inside the house are way less common, so back when I lived...
I think we had locks on the bathroom, obviously, the toilet, and I think my parents' room is the only one that had internal locks. But I don't think they ever used it. I can't remember their door even being closed. But that's nothing weird. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember any of our kids having locked doors. No, just the parents had the locked doors.
In the UK, locks on the doors inside the house are way less common, so back when I lived there, I had to do it under the covers. And do you know how hard it is to put socks on against a sheet? Anyway, because I was rudely interrupted by that storm yesterday, I never got to finish telling you about front doors. Remember earlier when I said this? Not that American front doors are especially heavy. In fact, they tend to be quite a lot lighter than the ones that I grew up with back home. Well, take solace, Americans, in the fact that your front doors are at least bigger. On average, they measure in at 80 by 36 inches, beating out the UK front door, which averages 78 by 33. I haven't delved deep into that data, but I can't help but feel that Britain isn't helped by the fact that it has doors that are occasionally from the 1400s when people were 5 inches tall, at least in paintings. That was British versus American doors. Oh, and instead of loitering at my door, please click the video on your screen. 6 very confusing things about the American Midwest. All right, bye.
So, very similar. Some of the doors, obviously, very similar to what we have in Australia. But I can't believe that American doors are hollow for your entry doors. That would just be ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah, maybe they're not as heavy as what he had in the UK. But I don't think they would be hollow. Internal doors, yes. They're just light doors for internal. But I can't see an external door being bloody hollow. And I've never heard of a storm door before. I can understand it if you have a storm and you don't want your front door obviously getting all smashed up. But yeah, I've never seen a storm door. I've never seen it. So I take it it's obviously, I guess anybody could have a storm door, really. There's storms everywhere these days. But I've never heard of a storm door. The only extra door, as I said, that we have is a fly screen door, so you leave it open, you get the heat transfer out, obviously you keep the bugs out, keep the snakes out. But, yeah, I've never heard of a storm door. Okay. If you do have, like I said, if you do have a storm door, let me know down in the comment section, guys. Let me know if you enjoyed this one. Thank you very much for being here. Make sure you stay safe, and I'll definitely see you in the next reaction video. Oh. You're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?